My name is Savannah Creasy, and for the purpose of my criminal justice class on criminal psychology, I'm here to talk about psychopathy and psychopaths. Enjoy! I chose psychopathy as my topic because as a sophomore in high school, I began to learn that there are good, bad, and ill people in this world. Psychopathy and psychopaths were one of those topics that I could learn about and accept that people were different all around the world. Now in college and being a part of this class, I've been learning more and more about the condition and wanted to share my knowledge proudly with my class. Let's quickly go over the definition of a psychopath. So what or who is a psychopath? The definition of a psychopath is a person who suffers from a mental disorder or disease who is deranged from feeling empathy, remorse, and may find the means of violence to be delightful or necessary for survival. You may be able to figure out that in cartoon shows and movies, the evil character usually associates with two, if not more, of these traits. Some examples are the Joker, Ursula from The Little Mermaid, and the crazy orange robot from Futurama, who happens to always carry around a knife. The history of psychopathy dates all the way back to 1888, where a German psychiatrist named J.L.A. Koch produced the term psychopathy and claimed that its existence was due to a birth flaw. Later on in the 1900s was it then determined that it had to do with a cognitive malfunction and nothing to do with how the child was born. Documentaries are interesting when they have their facts right. Psychologists, criminologists, and law enforcement come together to shed light to the public of what kind of people are truly out there. There are even children who have been found to display psychopathic behavior, such as Beth Thomas, who was examined by a psychologist after attempting to kill her younger brother. Kids and psychopathy has been a controversial debate as to whether or not it is possible. The biggest predicament is that children who bear the age of early to mid-teens are in their developmental stage of figuring out who they are. This goes into conflict with psychopathy because the characteristics of acting out, having a temper, a steady antisocial behavior, and lacking empathy could easily be supported by the growing of the adolescent cognitive development. Whether or not that it's possible, the reality is that anyone can develop psychopathy traits and behaviors simply by the environment that they were raised in, or by a traumatic event that the child could never heal from. Jordan Brown shot and killed his father's pregnant girlfriend, though acted as though nothing had happened and carried on with his day. Mary Bell and a friend mutilated and killed two young boys, one of which they lured the older sister to the brother's body so they could see the reaction of the sister's face when she saw her dead brother. Michael Hernandez lured his friend into a bathroom stall and knifed him repeatedly until killing him by slicing his throat. All three children were suspected to have been raised in violent or unhealthy environments that encouraged their choices. The author of The Atlantic, Miss Barbara Bradley Haggerty, spoke to a podcast about the current state of helping children refrain from hostile activity and learning to cope with their psychopathic issues. She states on the podcast, psychologists do believe that kids are very similar in their brains, and the amygdala is smaller and less functional. What that means is that these kids do not recognize the cues that say, stop, don't attack me, okay? She then goes to explain the reward system that follows through the treatment plan for psychotic children. The reward system is based off them being good, rather than punishing them for being bad. This system allows for the child to gain a form of awareness that if they do good things, they will receive good things in return. This is a really important piece to psychopathy because the more that we're able to learn through children, the quicker it can be caught before they grow into adulthood, and that reverse development opportunity is gone. The brain is made up of thousands of neurons and signals, zooming around to connect the human body with the right actions, emotions, and words. Psychopathy flaws are most prominently found within the prefrontal cortex, where the brain is known for the operations of behavior, personality expression, and decision making. The photo on the left is a visual of the prefrontal cortex. On the right is a visual of a standard brain scan compared to that of an individual who is psychotic. Notice the large decrease in the activity of the prefrontal cortex. This is where a neurologist or psychologist can determine if a person lacks empathy, remorse, and no knowledge of right from wrong. There are many examples, aside from cartoons, of people known for being psychopaths. One in particular is Harold Shipman, aka Dr. Death. Shipman was a doctor who lived in England and owned what was called a single-handed practice in his hometown. He had an axe for killing women under his care by pumping them full of morphine until they died. His last victim that got him caught had a daughter who grew suspicious of Shipman after noticing her mother's will was changed to him receiving her money. The woman died before law enforcement could catch him. It was said that his mother had been given morphine as she died in front of him at the age of 17, leading that to be the reason for his spree. The thing about psychopaths is that they can be very specific. We know this thanks to Robert Hare, a renowned psychologist, and his breakdown of primary and secondary psychopaths. Primary psychopaths are the ones known for having noticeable cognitive and biological differences outside of the idea of criminal behavior. These people are very enclosed to themselves and don't act out much in public. The secondaries are the vicious and impulsive ones. These are the famous psychopaths that are mostly known for being serial murderers and rapists. Hare also created what's known as the Hare Psychopathy Checklist. He created the Psychopathy Checklist to display 20 different traits that an individual may portray if they are psychotic. These are just a few: pathological lying, need for stimulation, cunning and manipulative, parasitic lifestyle, poor behavioral controls, and sexual promiscuity. Hare's psychopathy checklist can be applied to anyone, though be careful if you apply it to someone close to you. Not everyone is a fan of being psychoanalyzed. The percentage of psychopaths that walk amongst the living may actually send you in a fright, but stay calm. Not all of them are out to kill you. As recorded by the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health, they estimated that less than 1% of all non-institutionalized males age 18 and over are psychopaths. This approximated that 1,150,000 adult males could pass the test of being a psychopath. They also stated that of the estimated 93% of adult male psychopaths in the United States, they are either in prison, jail, parole, or on probation. In criminal behavior, a psychological approach, research done by R.T. Slaken, R. Rogers, and K.W. Swell in 1997 concluded that the percentage of female psychopath offenders who were confined into a contained atmosphere was 15.5%, compared to that of men who ranged from 25% to 30%. And according to Psychology Today, a piece on female psychopaths written by Johnny E. Johnston states that the ratio of men to women with psychopathy is a high 20 to 1. The tale goes that a human being encounters a psychopath at least once in their life. Maybe it's true, or maybe it was just a way to teach kids not to talk to strangers. However way you choose to interpret it, psychopathy and psychopaths are of natural nature, and the world has a lot more learning to understand further possible treatment or cure. Thank you for listening to my presentation on psychopathy and psychopaths.